Okay. We're live.
We're on.
What were you telling me, Nick?
Oh, we were talking about how we're doing this episode off the cuff, and then I wondered why, as you can see, even though if you're looking on YouTube, my shared screen, uh, not allowing you to see. Let me change that one sec.
Yeah. Actually,
So
I should also stop the music. What's going on with the cuff?
why? So this is a jersey from, I think it's actually from the '90s. This is Greg Lloyd, Pittsburgh Steeler
Oh,
defensive end, and I got this jersey. You know I'm a Steelers fan, right? From
yeah.
Pittsburgh, but I got this jersey
Pittsburgh, Steel
yard
City.
sale. It's huge, huge. I mean, it's good for wearing like a sweatshirt underneath, but it was just, I guess, the style of jerseys back
Carnegie
in
Mellon.
the '90s.
Sorry,
Carnegie
can't say
Mellon,
it. Carnegie Mellon. It's in Pittsburgh, right?
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a big engineering school, big nerdy
Duke,
school,
Duquesne, Duquesne, the Dukes, right? Duquesne.
alma
Am I saying it
mater.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Mama De
as a
Mayo's alma mater.
I know, big time upset
Yeah.
makers in the tourney. It's been that long since we podcasted that we
The
haven't
March
even.
Madness went by. All my fault, folks. All my fault. On vacation, 100% my bad.
How was your vacation?
It was okay. For those listening. I went to Disney. I live in Florida. Nick Lee lives in the DMV area. Very accessible to go to Disney, so it's a very typical kind of little vacation. And we decided to go during spring break, my child's spring break, and so did everyone else. And it was just extremely packed, and it was tough. But I feel like even when you go to Disney with the expectation that you're not going to ride everything, you're just going to kind of see what unfolds, take the day easy. Even when you go into it with that perspective, it's still tiring and it still throws you for a loop because it's just like I mean, you have to know how to use the reservation system. Even if you buy the extra lightning lane, and maybe we could have a whole podcast on this. And there are popular how to like manage Disney podcasts and blogs that do really well. And their whole thing is how to like maximize Disney. And even when you like do all that work, it's still you're not going to get it all. But what I was really happy with is we ended up staying at the J Dubs on the back end of the vacation. So we got away from Disney a little bit and stayed at the JW Marriott, Bonnet Creek. Can't recommend it enough. Beautiful resort. If you want to like have a Disney vacation but not be overwhelmed with Disney characters and Disney theming and Disney nickel and diming, JW is the way to go. It was honestly, Nick, it was a jolt to the system because we had been doing these little weekend Disney trips. Um, and staying at the JW was like a recalibration for me and the family, and realizing like we don't have to vacation. Like my daughter's old enough, we can start vacationing legit, in just regular hotels. And we have before, but it was just sort of like because we've gone to Toronto, we've gone to Atlanta, we've gone to a few places, but it was just like a recalibration. Be like, wait a minute, we need to go back to doing that. Like get out of the Disney bubble.
Hmm. I'm sure our gastronomy minded folks are wondering how the food was. Did you have any good grub?
Yeah, we ended up trying to methodically go to new restaurants that we haven't been to. So one of them was the Space 220 or 20, yeah, Space 220 restaurant, which is a themed restaurant where you take an elevator, it's like a spacecraft up to space, right? And it's a full view of a space station. So like it's like you're in a space station, and it's really cool. It's a really cool theme, Space 220. If you haven't, are you
No, pull
seeing
it
it? Are
up
you
right
looking
now.
it up? Yeah, pull it up,
I'm
pull
looking
it
it
up.
up right now.
But we ended up getting a last minute reservation, and it was really exciting at first because we're like, oh crap, this is a restaurant that we want to check out, but it's really pricey. It's a really pricey restaurant for what it is because Disney does this a lot where it's prefix.
Hmm.
So they do the three-course meal, and you can't do a la carte. Now there are plenty of restaurants that do the a la carte, but this wasn't one of them. And they do this with a lot of the higher end or newer restaurants to make them prefix. And honestly, the food was good, but not worth the price tag that we paid for it. And then
Mhm.
essentially you're paying $40 because it's prefix dinner, $40 for your kid. And all my kid's gonna order is mac and cheese,
Yeah.
chicken nuggets, or something. Like it, I don't even know, like it was either mac and cheese or pizza is what she ordered, you
Hmm.
know? But my go-to, this is a pro tip, my go-to must now I've eaten there four, maybe even five times. It's four times at least I can remember. And I love it. It's my favorite restaurant at Disney thus far. It's Tiffin's in Animal Kingdom. It has some of the best. Really, I order one thing, and that's the butter chicken.
Hmm.
It's one of the uh, former executive chef's mother's recipe of a butter chicken, and it comes with like a fried pea little thing on the side that's just absolutely delicious. It's just a perfect meal, and it's my favorite place. So calming. It's to me, it's one of the most calmest places at the park. Another shout out I'm going to do here, and this wasn't from this trip, but it was a previous trip. But honestly, we're definitely going to go back. We just didn't go back this last time. Is Tony's Town Square. It's themed after Lady and the Tramp.
Hmm.
Tony's, where they eat the spaghetti and they, mamma
And they
mia.
smooch. Hmm.
Yeah, and they smooch. um, God, I love that movie. Anyway, I do love that movie. Um, it wasn't always like it was like people had compared it like Chef Boyardee. So your little Italian heart would have been broken had you eaten there. But they did something I never tried it prior to the revamp menu, so I only tried it recently. And bro, out of dynamite, just a dynamite place to eat. Really good
Wow.
Italian. They have this garlic bread, but it's it's stacked up like boxes, like the little sticks are stacked up, and then there's this
Yeah.
super cream, like super not decadent cheese. It's not decadent cheese, but I don't know if it's fontina or something, but it's just light cheese that you can like it's in a cup and you drizzle it over like lava, but it's not heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
Sanduta. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and I know Italians just use fontina cheese, just one cheese, instead
Hmm.
of the French ones use really like Gruyere and a bunch of different cheeses to melt down that are a little bit thicker. So it was super light and just dynamite. So that's my Disney culinary journey. Is there anything else? We did
Yeah.
another
Sounds so
one
good.
was we did try the Jungle Cruise or the navigation like Skipper's Cantina. That's what it's called. Skipper's Cantina was another new restaurant we tried.
Hmm.
It tries to be like exotic food. It doesn't compare to Tiffin's.
Yeah.
Tiffin's is the best.
I'm trying to remember if I've been to Tiffin's or if I've been rather to a different spot in the Animal Kingdom. They do like a buffet. I don't know if that's Tiffin's or not, but it looks
And
great.
I
The
should
wine
also
nice
add one.
available.
Sorry, Nick. I should also add one more
Hmm.
here to it because I'm looking up. I forgot the name. It was a Japanese restaurant at um at Bonnet Creek. So let me see if I can find it. It was amazing. It's coming up here. It was on the rooftop too, so you could see the fireworks at the end of the night at JW. Illume was what it's called. Illume Japanese. Man, some of the best because all their cocktails are made with Japanese spirits.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't had Roku Gin, shout out Roku Gin. My, our top gin. It's just and the Japanese are so methodical with everything that they do that you
Hmm.
can only imagine that their spirits are just delightful. And if they're not on your radar, they should totally be.
Definitely. Like a Japanese whiskey, as you said, so much mastery, artistry in everything. And I think it's really cool that you can take a vacation ostensibly where everybody else is vacationing. Like you were saying, everybody in the entire world seemed to be in Disney. in that particular week because of spring breaks. But you had,
Mhm.
I would bet, a very like 1% experience of all of those people. Like they did not go to, it was called what, a loom, the
Ilum,
Japanese
yeah, yeah,
Japanese
and and
restaurant,
and
Tiffin's.
I
Did it
did
right.
have, yeah, I did try some of that Japanese whiskey, um, because there's a show on Apple TV, and the movie's coming out. Godzilla X King Kong. I'm a fan of the Godzilla franchise. FYI, people, I am a big fan. Monsters Unite. I love it, love it, love that friend. Not every movie hits. Not every movie hits, but there's a lot of them that do. They're fire. Anyway, they Apple TV recently launched a show, um, that kind of follows King Kong and some of the other monsters in that sort of universe. And in the show, the main characters are Japanese, and obviously Godzilla is sort of a Japanese story, a creation from a Japanese director's imagination. And they talked about some whiskey. I was like, oh man, that must be great. I ended up having two Japanese Manhattans, which I think they were
Hmm.
called something else, like Kyotos or something like that,
Hmm.
because they were all themed towards Japan. And that bartender just killed it. Like it was like two. I was I was definitely tipsy after two
It's
of
good.
those. Yeah,
Nothing like a family vacation where you can enjoy like an adult and like partake in some spirits, right?
I'm calling back. I'm calling back to, I don't know if it was episode one where we
Episode
found
one, you
out
remember
that
what I'm talking about? I'm like
yeah,
drowning in the pool. My parents were
Johnny
like,
and Mommy and Daddy DeMaio were having a little too much fun on their vacation. Poor
no, they're
little
having the right amount of fun. That ended up being a Disney cruise too, which like it's a weird combination of what it is about Disney that brings it out of you people. No.
Yeah, it brings it out, brings it out. All right. Anyway, so what was the player you're rocking today? What was that guy? Who was that
Greg
guy?
Lloyd,
Greg Lloyd. Greg Lloyd,
a little
Pittsburgh.
lesser known Steelers player. This is in the 90s. They made it to Super Bowls and then kept losing in the Super Bowl. Well, maybe they lost once or twice. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about I'm wearing a Steelers jersey, and I don't really, it was before I was even born. Maybe it was the year I was born, this jersey. So there it is. Just
There it is.
oh,
All right.
I
Well,
can't speak.
commenting on my jersey for those who are just listening to podcasts, because we wear jerseys, or at least I do, because Nick doesn't have the repertoire. I had a whole stage in middle school and high school where I was rocking jerseys all the time. This is LA Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal. That's what I used to hear in Orlando, because he was in
Mhm.
Orlando Magic before he became an LA Laker. I love Shaq. I love Shaq. I'm throwing the guns in the spirit. I don't have the same guns. I'm not as big of a guy, but I feel like
That's
you wear a
Shaquille
Shaq jersey,
O'Neal. You don't say.
you got to have the guns. You got to have the guns.
I think I
That's right. I
might
don't
have
compare.
one cue ball like Shaq.
No, not at all.
Get those ribbies. Get those. Break some backboards.
I love ribbies. Ribbies are
He
an
has
important
some
part of
really
the game.
great commercials, by the way.
He does.
This whole Papa John's venture. He can just you can put Shaq in anything and it's
Yeah.
going to be entertaining. I think it's like he has he's cartoonishly large almost whenever and
Yeah.
they play on that joke a lot, but whenever he talks, it's just really funny.
Yeah.
Love
He's
Shaq.
amazing. Love you, Shaq. No, he's amazing. He's a national treasure. Uh,
Hmm.
he
Uh,
has he has a doctorate degree from Barry University here in South Florida. So
I thought you said Baylor University, Bayer University.
Barry University. It's a Catholic university. I think Dominican,
Hmm.
from Dominican order. Yeah, just fun facts. We just throw fun facts over here, folks. We
Can you
just
imagine
throw.
Shaq walks in first day of class? I know that honorary PhDs don't teach.
No, I
I
don't think
think
it's
that
an
Taylor Swift
honorary.
actually did teach the class.
It's not an honorary degree. He actually did a doctorate.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Shaq.
Yeah,
I
don't come at us. Don't at
wrongly
us.
assumed,
Yeah.
because so many athletes end up getting honorary PhDs conferred. It's like during commencement ceremonies, but this is the real deal. What is his PhD in? Do you know?
I think leadership, it's one of those EDDs in like organizational leadership or something like
That makes
that.
sense.
So, because he has all those businesses and stuff. So
Hmm.
he's a treasure. Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. Well, anyway, March Madness brackets kaput. You did horrible.
I was so bad. I lost to not only my fiance, who picked based on colors and vibes. And colors and vibes actually brought her like after day 1 and 2 of the tournament, she was in like the top 1% of the entire world. This was on ESPN. Um, so
Wow.
really
Shout
impressive stuff
out.
there, Gab.
Holy smoke.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. I was
Gabby,
so bad.
killing it.
I should have fully leaned into, shame on me. I went to an ACC school, but I didn't pick ACC teams to go very far.
Hmm.
And then, as it turns out, Duke, NC State ended up being one of the regional finals. Clemson overperformed. North Carolina was my pick to win it all. And yeah, like we all know at this point, that didn't work out. So, but had I just like fully leaned into ACC schools going to the Elite Eight, I feel like I would have done pretty well. But Big 12, I remembered and was thinking about before this, Big 12 schools did not achieve in the same way. I wondered what you thought about that. Is it
Yeah, I
too
talked a
hard?
lot of
Did they get
smack.
a hard draw or what?
I talked a lot of smack. And man, they call it March Madness, and every year there's a Cinderella story. Every year there's something crazy that happens. It's like how it's crazy how all the time the unscripted thing happens, and especially if you're also a college football fan, where it feels like the scripted thing always happens. Um, it's awesome to just see the uncertainty of it all, where a number one team is meaningless, which also is why the increased playoff on the college football side is so important because rankings are meaningless. You don't really know if they're the number one team any day in and day out. All it takes is one game, one chance. And that's what's beautiful about March Madness in basketball. But yeah, I talked a lot of shit. Talked a lot of shit, and they didn't stack up. I think a lot of it is these teams are just better. The competition's just better. Their gauntlet was different. But then fundamentally, I also think because these schools that are moving on, a lot of them have a lot of experience. Like they're institutions that have been there before. And so, like for Houston, they've kind of been in stuff for the last couple of years because they've been pretty hot, pretty great. But they just don't have that final push to success. So like seeing UConn up there again, it's just crazy. Like that's just a powerhouse of a basketball program.
On both
And
the
like
men and women's
and the
side.
women's side, men and women's. You did you did better than me on the women's side.
I still picked too many upsets. I think as we were revealing our brackets, we both said hard to choose upsets on the women's side, and for the most part, that that was right. But how crazy is it that NC State put their men's and women's team into the Final Four and UConn in the same year did that?
I'm
I
gonna say
wonder.
something. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, finish the thought.
Well, I just wondered if that shows that they're investing in basketball. Like those schools are just like full send basketball.
I think if you're not an elite football program, like in elite, you can be in the top 50, and that you're in the elite conversation, right? But basketball is just a better investment overall. Like it costs money, but it doesn't have to cost as much money as football tends to. In understanding the landscape right now, Nick, college sports, college sports matter. Some of the biggest watched TV, live TV, which is a dying thing, right? Some of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest live TV events have been college sports, one of which was Iowa against LSU. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark rematch. I told you it was going to happen. Told you it was going to
Yeah.
happen. And millions watched. Millions watched. It's you know it outperformed the NBA finals?
Yeah, for like the past several seasons of NBA finals, I
Yeah.
think I saw. Because
Yeah.
it is elite basketball. Like I feel like as I was watching the game, I was watching something special and I was watching something which began obviously in the women's NCAA finals last year, but has the potential to continue on through. And we could be talking years and years of this rivalry living out through the WNBA, most probably, but maybe through other outlets as well. Who knows? Each of these uh, players can take different paths in their professional career. But I feel like we're always going to have this will be a touch point for watching basketball in the future in a way that I just don't know that I feel the same about NBA and college. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe Bayama we'll see in the future a lot. But yeah, just excited for the future of this rivalry that I don't think we'll see in other sports because there's not a through line that I can see going forward.
I need controversy. I need more from you, Nick. Give me more. I got a hot take here. I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm
Say what?
downright nervous. Caitlin Clark is such a transformational player, right? It just like, and I love the comparison to Steph Curry. I think it's this, like, why Steph Curry is such an exciting player is people love Tress. They love three. Shout out to Christianity. Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, original. Well, I guess I should say Catholicism, Catholic. So I only know Christianity through the lens of the Holy Trinity. I don't know nothing else. But the Tress, the Tress and dunking are some of the most exciting things basketball has to offer. I'll put blocking in there as well. If you can block all the shots, it's the biggest you can do. It's just wonderful. It's like the stiff arm. The block is the
Yeah,
stiff arm.
yeah.
I
That
love
got
the
me more
FUs.
hype when Angel Reese was blocking the Iowa players' shots than some of Caitlin Clark's threes. Because when you see that, you got to say, get that crap out of here. Like it's
Yeah,
compulsory.
yeah. Well, I think we're sports fans and we're also very good basketball fans. I feel like if you know basketball really well, but the problem is that if you're casual, those things don't really matter. But if you know, then ribbies count, steals count, blocks count. Blocks, in my opinion, are very sexy, and they're very sexy because they're hard to do. No one does 10 blocks a game, like on average, right? No one averages that. You get like 2, 3, and those are the best blockers if they can get 2 or 3 blocks averaging a game. That's 2 or 3 shots not going in, and they're elite at that level. So if you can do more than that, you are transformational. But the Tress, casual fans love the Tress from the art. It's so ridiculous. It's so like, and I think what it is sometimes in our heads, and this is all false, but sometimes in our head we look at certain things in sports and be like, yeah, I can do that, or I understand how that's done. But when someone's just throwing it from distance and it goes in, like Caitlin Clark does, I think something goes off in our brain and be like, what the heck? Just who can do that? Who
Mm-hmm.
can do that? Right? Like, how can they do that? My fear here, this is my hot take. I'm going full circle here. My fear is I don't think this same fire, this same excitement, I'm scared. I might be completely wrong. Nick, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't know if it's going to, transfer to the WNBA.
So the fear is not that Caitlin Clark doesn't continue to shoot as well in the WNBA, or it's that the viewership is not going to be as like awestruck and therefore tune it out.
Two things: the product, the product, the product. That's the first thing. I just said it multiple times, but just one thing. I don't think the product is as good. We have talked about this, and I think this will be a theme throughout our podcast history together, is the product of college sports just means more. It's just different. It hits different. Where the casual fan comes, watches a game or watches it on TV and feels the electricity of important games.
Mm-hmm.
The casual fan in some of the bigger sports leagues, the professional sports leagues, don't always feel that. I think it's the entertainment factor. It's the brand factor. It's how you promote your players factor. There's so much marketing. There's so much personalization. Like, people have to reanalyze how they're doing that. And so I think, for instance, Hard Knocks, the NFL, I think that's really important for the NFL. Mm-hmm. I think shows like that, the fact that some of the pundits, NFL Live, and so like those shows are really popular. I think that helps, that transcends, and that helps the sport, the league. College has a lot of fan bases, a lot of own little people. Like, we could be our own Wake Forest UCF podcast exclusive and only talk about those two teams. And I imagine our audience would be pretty consistent and potentially grow from like the 2 or 3 people we have today.
Mostly UCF fans. The Wake Forest fans are
yeah, that's true.
Too few of us. But I agree with you.
What was the second thing? Oh, the product and God, what was I going to say? The product, and I was going to say one more thing. I think just the product. I don't think the product is good.
Well, if you think of the second thing, I have a point, or like a case to the point that you made about the product not being so great between college and professional, especially in basketball terms. I was at a basketball game the other night, Wizards and Bucks. So seeing the second place team in the Eastern Conference play one of the lowest seeded teams in the entire league. There's really no competition there. I went because I wanted to see Dame Lillard. He takes the night off, like completely unannounced, like almost at game time. So that already has taken away some interest. So it really depends on if the star players are in or not. But of course, Giannis is playing. He's destroying them. He put up a stat line. I can't remember it exactly. It was something like 35 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double territory. Amazing. He had plenty of blocks in there as well. But the Bucks lost that game. The Bucks lost to the Wizards to a team who's, I think this is like their 4th win at home. I was seeing something like historic, like a team who plays 41 games at home. This was their 4th win at home. So that's scary when the product, I mean, you're still seeing Giannis perform great in the game, but it's
the season's too long.
Not there. They don't care.
And no, they don't, because the season's too damn long. Same thing with baseball. Just shorten the season. You think you're not. You're gonna heighten the intensity. You're gonna increase the motivation of players to right off the bat. Like, imagine baseball. You're shooting, what is it, like 100 and something games, right? It's something ridiculous, right?
162.
162. Let's say you cut out 100 and it's 62 games. 62 games before October. 62 games before October. Spring training, or probably what would be like summer training, switch, will be that much more important to get refreshed. Or maybe you have 2 practice seasons or something like that to keep the players refreshed. It will heighten the intensity. I think basketball, college basketball, is exciting. You're talking about what, 30-something games, including up to the Final Four, 30-something games, maybe 32. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
The NBA is at 80-something games. It's too many games. It used to be good when there wasn't that much stuff on TV. You're like, heck yeah, I'm going to watch basketball. We are flushed with options. We're constantly being pinged for attention. What should we do? How should we do it? You know, like, you need to shorten the season. That's crazy to say, and they're never going to do it, Nick. Maybe they will, maybe in our lifetime. But if they want to like change how exciting people are about their sports, shorten the season. So why it is the NFL just the best sport? Is why it's so popular. That's why people love the Shield so much. It's the season. It's the
Well, they keep
season.
lengthening the NFL
They
season.
do.
So
They do. But even then, we're talking about 18 games.
yeah, yeah. I think they also have the advantage of uh whenever it's Thursday night football or Monday night football, a lot of networks clear their schedules because they don't want to compete against the NFL. So that's beneficial because you can like see NHL, see hockey nearly every night of the week, but you probably choose to watch your other show or to stream something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got what you're saying there. I think that's why soccer is becoming all the more popular in mainstream US culture. We know that it's always been
Oh
popular
damn! But
for
that that
a bunch
that
of different
that
things.
trumps my argument. You just argued against me. Soccer is popular on the global scale, and that's a really long season.
Yeah, though the
It's like
season, it makes sense.
54 games, 52 in the Premier League. I'm thinking here, and along with tournaments.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, Nick, that's a good counter argument.
No,
You
I
just gave
wasn't
me
even
this is good
thinking of
art.
it
We're
as a
good.
counter. This is like what is the Skip show and Stephen A. Smith, whatever.
Here, think
The
about it. Hold on, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Think about.
even for what you were saying.
Is it though? Is it?
Yeah, because so I
Because that's a long
understand
season.
it is a long season. There are multiple competitions, right? But each of them with MLS not counted here because they seem to have a lot of meaningless games. But in European soccer, there's 30 teams in the table. They have to play each team twice. So there's your calendar's filled in, and each of those games means something. Um, and I don't
Mm.
know the other professional sports leagues in the United States, they have divisions, which I think is dumb. Like it doesn't matter that Washington and Charlotte and I don't even know the NBA divisions well enough. And that's why forcing those teams that are somewhat geographically related to play each other, what is it like 4 or 5 times a year? Just doesn't make any sense because if those teams stink, then you're just watching crap games. So I think my one, I agree with what you said, that shortening the season could help in as much as it increases the competition, but do away with these divisions. Like the divisions don't matter. Who
Oh,
cares who the division champion is? Make the best teams play each other just like a
that's
consistent way.
good. That's good. Now I see what you're saying here. And what I'm hearing is instead, because mine is just shortening the season, but then that how much do you shorten it? What should you shorten it to? What you're really arguing for, which is the same thing, but it gets to maybe something different, a more probably approachable number, which is just simplify everything. Play every team twice.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You know, whatever it is, twice, 2 times, 3 times, but just keep it simple so people know what they're getting, and they're also knowing that they're getting variety pretty consistently about who they're facing, and there's not like this rivalry or stuff. Now, I will say, saying rivalry, you do lose some of that. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
That's
you
true.
do lose some of that, and that is also part of the beauty of being close geographically. My counter argument to the UK or Europe example, though, is they're much smaller. Like, unless they're
Mm-hmm.
playing Champions League, which then I think at that point it compares, but then Champions League, the legs are kind of organized in such a way. But the US is just big to
Yeah,
try to, do cross travel. So I think the reason, and my think the logic of the divisions is more about transportation, less about like this is what makes it more exciting.
that's true. A great point. That's in each and every sport. It's going to bring me to one of the next things I wanted to talk about, which is the F1 race coming up this weekend in
Formula
Japan.
E,
Formula
Formula
E.
E.
Well, Formula One is a great example of the sport with huge environmental impact. And whether
It
it's
does?
what they
What?
burning fossil fuels causes environmental impact, what? News to me. But you know what, that's a global sport, so they're performing in Japan this weekend. I think pretty soon they'll be in Europe to do races. So that's a sport that really has to consider, like, not only logistically how challenging it is to move large machinery across the world, but the environmental impact. I don't think the United States sports are as concerned with the impact of like making teams travel as much as they possibly could, as opposed to what you're saying, that to have teams play each other who are geographically closer instills rivalry. Or I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe sometimes I feel like they're trying to artificially create rivalry that's not there. If they're trying to make Washington Nationals and Philadelphia Phillies a thing, it's just not a thing because those teams are just on totally different levels of competition. So, but I wanted to talk about Formula One. You're frozen.
no, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, so who you got? Where are they racing this weekend?
Suzuka, sort of a classic circuit in Japan. A lot of times
Ooh,
the weather is a factor. So I haven't seen a
Suzuka.
weather report yet. I should have queued that up before I started talking about the weather report. So I look into that. Did you watch
Yeah.
the Australia Grand Prix?
Um, I didn't because I thought there was going to be no stopping Verstappen, but apparently technical issues could be stopping Verstappen. So
He
that's the
was
one
stopping.
thing. If there's technical issues, he's not going to win. If his car can run the full laps, he's going to win. So I just pity me. But it was the Ferrari team, right, that did 1 and 2.
Yeah, one,
If
two
I'm
for
not
Ferrari.
mistaken, 1-2 to Ferrari. So I'm sure they're happy. But when I watched the series, Netflix, thanks to Nick, Drive to Survive. I winked, by the way. We try to be accessible here. Um, when I when I watched Drive to Survive, man, the Ferrari guys were kind of douchey. So I don't know if I like them winning. They seem like the worst, like the worst
I
type of year. Like my American sensibilities look at those Ferrari guys, and I'm just like, man, I just want to punch them in the face, give them a hard American punch in the face.
I guess that makes sense. As a American believing in the American dream, and anybody can pick themselves up from whatever position in life they're in and make it to the top. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc are not those kind of people. If you're looking for a story like that, maybe Esteban Ocon, I think, comes from, modest background. But yeah, those two guys, you could definitely tell, like, have had all of the resources in the world, that it was kind of a foregone conclusion that they could make it far in motorsport. So same thing with Max Verstappen, though. Although he feels like he's a little grittier than those two. Like he is not as polished. He'll say
Yeah,
something that
it.
is not
Yeah,
like, I feel like Charlotte
I'm Team
Leclerc.
McLaren, man. Team McLaren. Now those are some scrappy dudes. Those Aussies, right? They're Aussie, right? The
Yeah,
two.
I got Oscar Piastri, an
Yeah.
Aussie. Lando Norris is a uh, Englishman. He kind of was more
Sorry,
similar to like
Lando.
Carlos Sainz and
Sorry, Lando.
Leclerc upbringing. But
Anyway, yeah, Formula One. Formula One. I tell you, the Drive Survive makes it exciting, and I think it's also like these documentaries are so important because you don't get to see the drivers. You don't get to. There's a lot of like. I think what's most exciting about the Formula One is the drama,
mhm.
right? On and off the track, right? A lot of some of these people really hate each other,
Yeah.
and I think that's important. I think there's nothing wrong with a little hate in sports. Some this friendly kumbaya stuff, like the hate, love it, love it.
Hmm.
That's when you see that's as far as good entertainment, right? I think that's why I'm gonna bring it up. No,
Yeah.
let me talk. We're sticking about racing, but I got something up my sleeve, something that you don't want to talk
What
about,
sleeves?
folks. He
What
doesn't
sleeve?
want to. Oh, what sleeves? That's right. I'm wearing a basketball jersey. Somewhere up here, somewhere around this brown skin. Um, It's coming. It's coming. I'm going to talk about something you don't want to talk about. But first, since you've brought up Formula One, I feel like the counter thing to talk about here is NASCAR, something that is gritty and American. And who done it? People died. People died. Remember Dale Earnhardt. Remember Dale Earnhardt. Number 3. Again, people love Tress. People love 3. Is that a
Praise
conspiracy? I
Dale,
don't
praise
know.
Dale.
Yeah. Praise Dale, praise Dale. Is that
You never
said
heard
that's
that before?
no. Now I feel not as Southern anymore. So, um, I
Can't
grew up
relate.
45 minutes away from Daytona, so
Yeah.
rest in peace, Dale.
Yeah. One
Anyway,
out for Dale.
yeah, Richmond, another short track. It was so funny comparing like the Austin track, which is more Formula One status, where it really is a lot more maneuvering. Like, yeah, I feel like it's definitely more technical. You really got to be a good driver to like manage around the stuff, and then the speeds that the Formula One drivers are still able to hit. Now, I think a lot of that maybe is the car. It's a different type of car. That the wheels aren't like a regular car. So I think that
Mhm.
has a lot to do with it. So it's interesting to see NASCAR cars sort of race in a similar track because like they were hitting 70 on or 60 in the turn. Like they slowed down significantly on the turns just because of the rate of the car. And I mean, most of the track wasn't even used. They just kept using the edges of the thing because
Mhm.
on the turns, like as far off as they can go, almost into the grass. I thought that was interesting. But
Mhm.
Richmond was last weekend. Denny Hamlin, legend. I want him. This has got to be the year for Denny. He's got to win it all. He's got to win the Cup Series championship. That's 2 wins already in the early NASCAR season. He won Richmond. And he's an old school driver because he loves these short
Mhm.
tracks. These short
Yeah.
tracks is where it's at for him. Bristol, now Richmond. The shorter, the better. The shorter, the better. He's an old school NASCAR driver with some of this stuff. So, pretty impressive. Really love watching it. It's just too dang long sometimes, though. I will say that's the problem. It's just
Yeah.
too dang long. I can't get away with it. My wife won't let me. Like we're talking about from 3:30 to like 8 o'clock. My wife won't let me. That's it. I'm just gonna be real, people. Yeah, there's stuff to do. I have the kid. I got to play with the kid. Life is short,
Yeah.
so it's not the best sport. Whereas now, I feel like Formula One finishes pretty right. It finishes pretty regularly, right? That does, or are there races that take a long time?
Oh, it's like 2 hours cut. Like the Grand Prix is determined by a certain number of miles driven. So um, that's why you won't see the same number of laps in each race. If the track is longer, it would be fewer laps, and they're looking for something like 300 to 400 miles, I think. But if there's like a number of red flags and the race goes over like 2.5 hours, as long as they've completed a certain number of laps, then they'll just call it and they'll be like, okay, that's it. That's a Grand Prix. So they do try to keep things very British, right? So many rules. So very like to the book. But you're
I
right,
love it.
NASCAR's I the last like American kind of like stock car kind of race I watched. I know it's not stock car, but the Indy 500, like that was great to watch. I really enjoyed that, but it was a while. It was a lot of stoppages, a lot of, when there's a lot of accidents,
Mm-hmm.
just takes longer and longer. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
nothing like if you're there in person, you're drinking some beers and
Some
just hanging out.
Serbies.
Yeah, just hanging out in the what do they call the middle of it? Shoot, wait right now.
The pit?
The pit, the
No, that's true. It does have a name.
anyway, you're
Sorry,
hanging out
race car friend.
grass in the
Yeah,
central part of the track. That's got to be a great time.
yeah. Especially if you got a little RV there. Oh my god,
Hmm.
a little glamping status.
You're
But I'm telling you,
tailgating
it's like
inside the
yeah,
stadium.
it's like that Zach Bryan song Friday night. Was it Friday Night Lights? Anyway, Zach Bryan, amazing album. Listen to it if you haven't. Anyway, he takes a clip from one of these viral interviews that Barstool, shout out to Barstool, has done to like in one of the NASCAR races. And the guy's like, I've been drinking since 6 a.m. I don't know. Like, like he just goes crazy. Like, oh man, I want to find it. Let me find it. Hold on, audience. I'm gonna play it. I'm play audio. I don't care if it gets banned in Russia. I'm not trying to make money here. I'm not trying to make money, especially off no Ruskies.
Yeah. Get your Russian
All right.
informant out of here.
Yeah, we're not in good terms right now. We're not in good terms. That could change though. That can always change. People are people.
Good for Denny Hamlin though. Apparently
Yeah.
there was a late caution, kind of helped his chances, but you just need some good breaks to go your way over the course of the season. It's no different than any sport, right? It's not always performance alone. You have to have a little bit of luck.
Here we go.
I started drinking at 6 a.m. and we're here now. I don't know what time it is, but I'm rolling deep, and those cars are going real fast and real left, son. They're going fast and left. Fuck yeah!
So, Zach Bryan has that part of. Shout out to Zach Bryan, man. He's
I love
got
Zach Bryan.
amazing voice.
I spent the whole weekend listening to him.
So good, man. So good. Tourniquet puts freaking tears in my eyes when I think about things. I don't know. I remember everything with Casey Musgraves, man. Casey Musgraves, you're amazing. Where is it? Fear and Fridays. Here it is. Here it is. Oh no, my bad. Overtime. Overtime, everybody. Overtime.
Huge fan, mega fan here, folks.
And left. So he samples that same part. This is awesome journalism, by the way. This is what it's all about, folks. This is what, when you get these moments. And by the way, Zach Bryan did invite him backstage to then come up on stage on one of the concerts, I guess, near his location. So, which is like a couple $1,000, because if you haven't checked out Zach Bryan's concert tickets for this summer tour, it's outrageous. It is at least a couple $100, but to get some of those VIP seats are in the thousands. Honestly, I considered, because I think the music is that good, it's that profound. But yeah, they're going fast and left. Dude, that's so good. It's so
like
good.
That Barstool interviewer had no idea what that guy was going to say, and it was better than anybody could have imagined.
It was better. It was better. It's just golden.
I didn't realize
chef's kiss.
Zach Bryan is getting that much for a ticket. I mean, I saw he had Bruce Springsteen, Maggie Rogers make guest appearances in New York. So it feels like this is, Taylor Swift is, if she's even still touring worldwide, she's at least not in the United States right now. So need to take up that incredibly large space of insanely expensive concert tickets that are apparently just like, this is what you do now. I've not been into a concert in so long, and I don't think that I can afford to get back into that.
Yeah, I remember it was $25, $30.
Mm-hmm.
See some of your favorite artists in a smaller venue. I'm not a big arena person. I think the biggest concert, I know the biggest concert I went to was Coldplay in Minneapolis so many years ago, pre my daughter. And it was nice. Honestly, it was awesome. I'm not even going to front. If it's your favorite artist and they're big enough to be in an arena, it doesn't matter. I realize, what am I saying here? I'm not going to be elitist about it. It doesn't matter. If you really like that person, you're going to have a great time. You're going to love it. Like the show that Taylor Swift, you're a Taylor Swift fan, you probably love that. Like it was worth every penny to be there. So anyway, here's it up. We're kind of finishing up, wrapping up this off the cuff pocket. We did really well, by the way, but let's not to our own horn. what I'm gonna bring up, and you better have something to say, Nick. You better have something to say, but because it's big this weekend.
It's not on the dock, so there's no guarantee I have anything to
This
say.
weekend.
There's a risk that we just like end it because I'm just like broken. Like I don't know what to
this,
say.
this weekend, WrestleMania 40, Nick. WrestleMania 40. If it hasn't made it on your news, Nick, I don't know. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you're reading. If you haven't seen the whooping The Rock has put on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, leading up to this WrestleMania, I'm looking at your face and I feel like you might have nothing to say on the mat. I'm going to have to show you a clip. Maybe I have to show you a clip just to hit home on the seriousness of this matter. It is going to be an epic WrestleMania. If it's not on your radar, I'm going to be in on the beach in the West Coast near Tampa this weekend. I might have to pay-per-view it off of my phone, and pay-per-view just shows my age. It's just streaming on Peacock. But WrestleMania 40, folks. Nick, do you have anything to say before I show the audience a clip?
I thought we were a sports podcast and not a
unbelievable
wrestling podcast.
I'll tell you what, I'm a Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. This is a Dwayne Rock Johnson podcast, okay?
I have something to say about Dwayne The Rock Johnson, actually. Did you hear that his grandma was inducted in the Wrestling Hall of Fame? She was a wrestling promoter and like a real trailblazer in that world. Kind of took over her husband's business, kept it going, and yeah, just incredible. So look it up, folks. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's grandma. Really, we don't know where the sport would be without such pioneers as that woman.
Yeah. No, and you know what's crazy, and this is why it's also not, he has lots of family members. Obviously, his dad, Rocky Johnson, was a wrestler as well back in the day, and Roman Reigns, the current undisputed WWE champion of the world, is his cousin, first cousin. It's like the bloodline is thick. Which, by the way, that's the group, that's the team. The Rock and the Roman Reigns are part of the bloodline. For those now know, I'm sorry. I know for a long time wrestling is like a kid's thing, and for some people, at least, they feel that way. I'm not gonna say like I always felt that way, but this whole situation of The Rock coming back, and he obviously is the owner of the WWE, who just merged with UFC. Huge, okay? This is entertainment at its finest. It makes me laugh. I enjoy it. It's violent, but it's also, because you know it's fake, it's a little bit enjoyable.
So Rock versus Cody.
Video unavailable. Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to show
Cody
the whole
Rhodes
clip.
is scared.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to show the whole clip officially. I guess for. Oh no, see him
getting some free.
See, I want short. I want shorts. Here we go. In the rain. Nick. Are you seeing this?
Oh yeah. I'm seeing it.
The Rock's not your hero. The Rock is. Look at your hero. World, look at your hero.
Yo. This is great cinema.
The Rock's got your attention now, doesn't Mama Rhodes? Look at your son. The Rock's got a special gift for you, Mama.
Look at that.
Because at the end of the day, to all you Cody crybabies, to him, to Mama Rose, stuck his nose in The Rock's business. Oh, get up, boy!
Look at that.
You back up.
What did Cody Rhodes do to deserve that big butt whooping?
Now you're intrigued, aren't you?
I am a little intrigued. I'm intrigued by the product placement. Is Wheatley American Vodka somebody's vodka brand?
Was that there somewhere? I didn't even see that.
Folks.
I didn't
We're
even see the
getting,
vodka.
like, so much free publicity. All of our viewers got a little Brooks Advert. I'm over 21. Tell me what Wheatley vodka is, please.
Look it up.
I don't
He's looking
know.
it up. He's looking. So for the audience, the basic premise of the feud between Cody Rhodes and The Rock right now. For those recap, WrestleMania 39 was Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. It was the first time Cody Rhodes had a chance at the undisputed title in WWE. Roman Reigns had been, obviously, as the name implies, has been reigning over that title for a pretty historic amount of time. He won that match. It was an hour and some minutes fight. So it was a very long fight for WWE. And he kind of won it in a sort of shady, like people came up and just right at the moment that Cody had him, someone sneaked in the ring, drama, right? And like hits Cody to get him out of the hold, like cheating for all intents and purposes, right? Bringing in other people. It's a 1-on-1 fight. And Roman Reigns was able to get the bloodline, other people in the ring to like manipulate the situation. And through that manipulation was able to then win the title another time, right? And so that's the drama. Fast forward to the next year. Rock obviously taking over the company, making mergers with UFC, being a business person. He decided that it would be awesome, WrestleMania 40, if it was Roman Reigns versus him, right? So, like, he's able to then defeat Roman Reigns, right? And I think that was kind of the storyline they were planning, right? Because all of this is planned. Everyone plans who's going to win, who's going to lose. So some people be like, that sucks. But I think it creates drama because you don't know. You don't know what they have planned. So you're watching the soap opera that is wrestling. It turns out, and this is the beauty of WWE, I got to give a shout out to those people who've stayed committed to being fans for that entertainment. They didn't want that. Those who have been paying attention pre-The Rock, or pre-The Rock coming back, I should say, did not want to see The Rock and Roman Reigns. They wanted a rematch of Cody Rhodes fighting for the American Dream, which was his dad's name. He's the American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes is the American Nightmare. His dad, Dusty Rhodes, was the American Dream. So there's a little play on words there. He wants to finish the story. The fans called for it. They didn't. They started booing The Rock, which I was like, man, these fans are crazy. They're booing The Rock as they're drinking Zoas. I'm just kidding. They're not drinking Zoas. But anyway, I'm drinking Zoas. And so I'm watching TV, just gravitate. Essentially, the audience themselves were able to have WWE re-script what they had planned. And it forced The Rock to turn into a really bad dude, which I'm also like, please, Rock, don't do it too much, bro. Don't mess your brand up. You're such a good guy. But this is the drama, right? He took away, so why The Rock is so angry is he took away his opportunity. The Rock wanted to compete for the undisputed title again. He's been the champ before. He wanted to compete for it against his cousin.
That's what
Cody
I'm thinking.
Rhodes took it away.
How can you fight your cousin in any sort of serious way? Like, I don't know.
That's also
another
thing worth considering. The script that they would have had to write in order to do that, I don't know what drama they would have had to create.
They would have to create a lot. I mean, you don't fight your cousin when sober.
Yeah. So that's essentially
the politics of it is sort of Shakespearean.
It is.
In a way.
Yeah. No, you gotta respect it. So that's my thing. I have to bring it up. Maybe I only bring it up this week because it's WrestleMania. Maybe I don't. I stayed up late watching some matches. I am absolutely going to watch SmackDown on Friday. I'm in, Nick. I'm in. But my final task for you, I realize I have a perfect segment for us. You ready for it? We're off the cuff, and I'm giving you a segment here. You ready for it?
Born ready. Big
folks. It's called Nick Helps My Fantasy Baseball Team. That's what it's called. The segment is Nick Help My Team. At different points, I'm going to sign up for all these
podcasts. You heard
Yeah,
colors and vibes.
colors and vibes.
Colors and vibes.
Okay, so what I love is ESPN Fantasy has this little plus or minus sign now of like how the players are doing. As you can see, I have a lot of players that are like not doing well right now. It's early in the season, but they're not doing well. As I've done, what I've done really well in the past is I've been able to pick up players that, like, instead of drafting really well, I end up picking players really well in the season, right? Who start getting hot. And so I'm going to ask you here, I'm going to go to add players, show you some of the players available here, and you see some of the plus signs. And I'm going to give you some of the top ones and see who you think I should add, okay?
Got it. Okay.
First option here. Okay, maybe you know him. Tyler O'Neill of the Boston Red Sox, outfielder. Right now, he's got the hot hand. 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, 1 stolen base, kind of showing it all. Pretty young, not really rostered, but man, could he be something worth plugging in for my outfield. Okay? Tyler O'Neill. If you want to pop up some stats on your computer while I'm doing this so you can compare.
Yeah. So obviously you're looking outfield as a position of need. Do you got guys injured? Or
Not necessarily. Not
Okay.
necessarily. Looking at just a good hot bat.
Okay, so you're just looking, this is like nice to have. You're not like, can't think of anybody who's hurt right now, but it's not any of those issues.
Exactly. So Tyler O'Neill. Look, I'm looking at the top players right here. So we got Bryce Turang right now, 6 stolen bases. Whew. I might
That's
have
impressive.
to like that's impressive.
Only played like,
and he's a second base shortstop. Yeah. Second base shortstop. That's interesting.
What weighs more for you in a fantasy baseball are steals?
It's categories. It's categories. So it's okay. So like steals are hard to get. And if you can lock down that category, that's great, because then that's so it's not a points league, it's categories. So I guess they call it rotisserie. I don't know. Rotisserie chicken. All right, so we got Bryce Turang, who second base shortstop. And then this one I'm really excited about because you're a Pittsburgh guy. Shout out Roberto Clemente. And I don't know if you know anything about this guy, Connor Joe.
I do know that, like so many Pirates players, great prospect, talented, huge amount of upside, will be traded away by midpoint of the season, because that's just what the Pirates do.
That's it. You convinced me. Is that who you're going to pick, by the way?
That's who I was going to pick. So I didn't even need to finish that statement about the travesty that is the Pirates organization. Now I can see the rest. That's your team at the top there.
This is my team. I got Cal Riley, Matt Olson, or Cal Riley as the catcher, Matt Olson as my first baseman, Zach Geloff as my second baseman, Manny Machado as my third base, Anthony Volpe as my shortstop. He's okay. He's doing really well this season, so let me not say he's okay. He's doing really well. It's always good to have a Yankee. Luis Robert Jr., who's probably my best player right now, pretty consistent on the home run, so we'll see if he does well. Teoscar Hernandez, outfield. Jorge Soler, outfield. Mike Trout. It's my first year ever having Mike Trout, but obviously he's older, but Suns.
He's got good value.
Suns without his Rockstar teammate might be really well. Go really well.
Yeah, back to like a more primary role on that team. Hey, but you might have a chance to sell high on Volpe and get somebody like O'Neal Cruz for your shortstop position. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz won't be a free agent, but I don't know if you have trades in your league. If not, then this is all moot.
Yeah, it might be a moot point. Let me see. Did I get the guy? Oh, I did. I got Connor Joe. Connor Joe.
Let's go, Joe.
Just to add this segment, let's do starting pitchers.
Oh, so tough. It's so
It is
early
tough.
in the season to be like really knowledgeable of what pitchers
We got
going
some pretty, when you see 26% or 30% rostered, that's pretty high. That's it. Should I make, oh, I see. It's one game, but with 10 Ks.
that
Yeah,
the
I'm not going to
pitching
pick up
staff is
starting
like
pitcher.
one of the things maybe to hold on. I don't know. And
Yeah,
also
and he doesn't have
pitching
enough
staff
Ks.
is very matchup dependent. I think I would take a starting pitcher in a weaker division. Oh, it might not even be the world's best starting pitcher over
Yeah.
like starting pitcher who's got to constantly face like the Dodgers or yeah, that division is a pretty good example because you got to play the Diamondbacks as well. So
I love it.
it's tough.
Hey,
I don't know. I don't
that's the
do
segment.
fantasy baseball. It's so tough.
No, that's the point. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to do fantasy hockey. I'm going to do every year, I'm going to sign up for something, and you're going to be Nick signs a player for me. That's the segment.
Totally
That's it.
ill-informed player.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Mr.
And
Irrelevant.
we'll have special guests. We'll have special guests at some point. Gabby will be the vibe and color picker at some
Yeah, you should
point.
really be talking to her based on like most recent experiences, and her bracket just killed it. Mine was killed.
Appreciate you as always, Nick. This was a great episode.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks to everyone listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the races this weekend and WrestleMania 40.
40. Go
So
watch the clips.
go Rock.
Go the
Right?
Rock. I'm
Yeah,
totally on the Rock right now. Like, yeah, I'm not on the Rock, but I'm for the Rock over over Cody Rhodes. I don't know who Cody Rhodes is. He's new to me. So
American
anyway,
Nightmare.
cheers.